Hey everyone, here are some early game tips and tricks for Saros to ensure your runs go smoother. There are a lot of mechanics that aren't well explained within this game, like the adrenaline mechanic at the bottom middle of the screen there, which scales up when you hurt enemies, which will make you do more damage. It also scales up when you grab Lucenite, and you lose it when you take damage. When it comes to weapons, they're going to scale off of different stats, so if you have a high power scaling and you find a weapon that's got a lot of power scaling, you may want to grab that. Same thing applies to our power weapons. You're going to have different stats depending on what you found throughout the run. Another thing is we got our shield. You kind of want to be using your shield often, but don't over rely on it because dodging is extremely effective. You kind of have to master both. You don't want to just rely on one or the other. Shields are great because this allows you to use your power attack there, which does massive amounts of damage. And don't be afraid to get into melee range there. As you can see, it does actually a considerable amount of damage, especially early on when you're dealing with enemies that are going to be in your way either way. So you got to get into a flow. Typically you want to be far enough away from enemies so that you have enough time to react, and if you're going in for the finishing blow, you can do like your melee attacks there. But when it comes against boss encounters like this, make sure you do have a considerable gap between the boss just so you have that reaction time to react. But also you want to dodge roll towards them if they're using projectile attacks like that one there. If they're doing more of these melee attacks, you can dodge to the side or away from them to give yourself a bit more range, and obviously keep jumping around and stuff. But the way that the invincibility frames end up working is if you're dodging towards their attacks, you're going to be a lot more safe. So another thing is the mechanic for your fast reloads. You can see there, you can press the right trigger to be able to do it and get that back, but you can also press R3 or the right control stick there, as that's going to allow you to keep your finger on the trigger to keep firing away. Also, don't forget to jump over those. Taking small amounts of damage is kind of how you ruin a run, so you want to be trying to play as perfect as possible at all times. Using your shield can be a nice way to do that if you're getting into a situation, and you'll get corrupted from the yellow pellets here, which is something you can actually reduce by using your power weapon like that. So if you end up getting corruption, you can just clear it that way. So you may want to use your shield, even though you will take a bit of corruption damage to block things. It's all right because you'll be able to return fire back at the enemy, especially against bosses, and there is a flow to it over time that you'll get comfortable with. But yeah, you typically want to be always moving in circle strafing around enemies, and whenever it comes to exploration and into corrupted artifacts here, sometimes you don't want to grab them. If you got multiple pressured and you got low integrity, you're going to end up doing no amounts of damage. And experiment around with the different types of guns. Sometimes you can find something that got like a smirk tracker like this, which just make things a whole lot easier because you can see what you're targeting on, and then you don't have to aim as much, which is very useful for moving around and staying agile, because this game really is about reducing the damage that you take. Like a lot of roguelikes, you can get taken out in a few hits, so you do have obviously progression over a course of runs, but you're going to be very weak early on, and that's why it's important to kind of stay moving around like this. And here's where the shield ends up being valuable. So you're able to grab a few of the projectiles there, which is going to allow us to return fire with our power attack there, reducing our corruption. So there is a nice flow to this that you'll get comfortable with over time, but whenever you see a lot of projectiles, the blue ones are free real estate, go grab them. Whenever you see a large attack like that, you got to react quickly, so you'll find the right range to stay away from the boss just so you have enough time to react for it, and everybody's different. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and hit the subscribe button below for more Saros content.